Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to continue reloading some 45 Colt here. We have this Remington Peters brass. It has been fully prepped already. You can see we are even expanded at the mouth. I believe that these are Winchester primers in these cases here, and we're only going to be doing 20 today. You can see with our dummy round here, we are using the 405 grain from Lee, and this sucker is big, and I only have data for a 395 grain bullet, so I had to kind of extrapolate with the Enforcer here. So we're going to go ahead with that and use a nice light charge. Shouldn't be too bad. Anyways, our bullet though, these actually weigh 418 grains with my alloy. They're rather soft, but they're going to be moving pretty slowly with a fairly low pressure, so we shouldn't have any issues with any of that stuff. They're just going to be big and heavy and thumping. Whatever they run into, they're not going to stop very easily. We're sized to 452. We coated it with Eastwood Ruby Red. And it looks like we have some speckles of the Harbor Freight black in there. And maybe whatever else was stuck in the jug at the time. But we're just going to be loading up 20 cases today. My research led me to think that I should start with 13.5 grains. And then we're just going to test 14 grains even after that. So 10 of each should be pretty easy. And I've even got our powder measure set up. And this is a look at the Ramshot Enforcer powder. These are some of the finest balls I've ever seen.
That's what she said.
Anyways, this stuff flows really, really well out of the Uniflow. And with our 10 throw average, we are right at 135.3, which is very close to our mark of 13.5 per charge. So we're gonna roll with that. Let's get our die set up here with our dummy round and we will get going.
That's pretty cute.
All right, let's just get our seating die out here. Looks like we already have our shell holder. And we'll go ahead and grab our dummy round. There we go, get him set up. And we have contact there. Drop those wrenches on the floor and then go ahead and just barely snug that down so it's not moving around on us. And then I'm going to wait to do that for our first one to make sure we're on the mark. Alright, pick all that crap up. So let's go ahead and drop one here and check out our case fill. So 13 grains, that's all you get. However, compared to our dummy round, our case fill is probably pretty close, so that's going to be a nice, decent amount of case fill. So let's give it a shot here. Oh, see what I did there? Give it a shot. Ha! That wasn't on purpose, I swear. Alright, let's go ahead and get this first one kind of started here. And this one's especially gigantic and huge, so I'm gonna probably work it down a little at a time and rotate as we go. Just to make sure we stay straight and don't bulge out to one side or something silly. All right, that actually felt pretty good. And there's our case up to this point. We still need to crimp that, but we see the bullet is way down here, which is probably right on top of our powder, so that's probably a nice case fill there. And actually with the shaken test, I can't actually hear any extra room in there, but it might be close. Try one more here. Let's actually take a look at our case fill. That looks pretty close. But I'm below the starting charge with a very similar weight bullet. I'm only about 5.8% higher, and then I started almost 4% lower than the starting charge. So I think I'll be safe here with this starting charge. And we're just making sure we're getting it as level and square as we can before we go ahead and seat. Just barely touch it, turn about a quarter. Okay. Yeah, very smooth, very nice. Very nice. All we got to do is crimp these. So here's our first two. 18 more to go. Except we're going to change our powder charge here in a minute, but let's knock the rest of these out and I'll get with you when we're upping our powder charge. Alright, we have one more at our first charge. So we'll go ahead and get this one done. And we haven't had any issues with scraping or the powder coating or any of the brass shavings or anything like that. So that was our first 10. We're going to go ahead and reset this to 10.5. Sorry, up to 14 grains. And we'll go from there. Give her about a half turn and give it a test. Alright, so first off, I don't have a red marker, but I'm going to mark these as the hotter charge by just marking the primer as a visual indicator, and then I can mark on the box the two different charge weights with my little coating on there. So first one, 13.5, and then these will be the 14 grain charge. Doesn't that pink color look just nice and pretty? I was going for red because, you know, red, hot, caution, etc. These are untested, so, you know, seems like we're going to be right at case fill or even slightly compressed with this charge here. So we're just going to be careful, and I'll check for pressure after the first shot, or at least examine the primer as best we can, and so on and so forth. But let's dump them here and see where we're at. You know, I think holding it like this, it does look like we have a little bit of breathing room. So we're not quite compressed, but usually compression isn't a bad thing. It's just I'm not familiar with Enforcer, and there's not specific data for a bullet that's a little heavier than the data that I have. So just trying to be cautious here. And again, we're just gonna kind of pre-seat the bullet to get her as square and true as possible. And drive him on home. Yeah, that looks beautiful. That looks beautiful with our pink there and our whatever color we ended up with there. Very nice. This powder does flow superbly. It's a very, very tiny itty bitty ball powder. Maybe one of the finest I've ever seen. I hear H380 is a really fine ball powder as well. Oh yeah, here we go. That one felt slightly rough, but I don't see any shavings coming out or anything like that, so that's very nice. Can't wait to one day when I have, like, you know, a range day. I don't know what I'm going to take with me because I'm going to have so much crap to test and just play with, so it'll be hard telling. Maybe I'll just grab like 10 of each of these bullets I've been loading up. Have a bunch of different targets, and then one day eventually be able to chronograph them. If it's a load that's worth even, you know, measuring that data for. Because really what happens on the paper is what's more important to me than whatever random numbers the chronograph has that day. You know what I'm saying, man? Can't always trust your chronograph, but the paper doesn't lie. Paper don't lie, bro. It tells you exactly what's up. Okay, getting him nice and square. There we go. Yeah, these all feel pretty good. once you get them started and they get lined up in that little pocket made by the expanding die, it lines up pretty well. But CW was just talking about the NOE ones. You can get it measured by length as well. So when you have a big ass bullet like this that comes out twice as far as the little pocket that's actually created by your expanding mandrel, now there's more tension down here on the bottom of the bullet than up here that we've already set. So you can get the NOE ones that are set to a length as well as a diameter. And I'm pretty sure that just installs into your Lee universal decapping die. So you can get a whole kit with all that sort of stuff, different diameters and lengths for different bullets. So if you're doing a 400 grain bullet like this, you know, you can get a sizer meant for that that's that long. Whereas if you're doing a 200 grain wad cutter, you know, you can have it this big instead of creating a big pocket with all this extra space and I guess less neck tension around that little spot, if that matters, or I'm not sure, but you can fit your mandrel to your bullet is the point. Sounds like a mighty fine system. And I believe he said that was NOE. So I know they've been way backed up and years behind on some molds if it's a more obscure thing, but whatever they are able to be cranking out seems, you know, NOE, good stuff from what I've heard. I do want to get a taco mold for my blackout, and it'd be cool to get the steel one too, so that I could do it with zinc eventually. And then, that was horrible. So there goes all the finest powder in the world. Let's look at this. Alrighty, check it out. Catastrophic failure. Look how fine these pellets are. Isn't that insane? Look at that powder. Old dummy done goofed, and that was almost the last one. We've got 2 more after that, but this stuff is freaking everywhere now. It's like when you go to the beach and you end up with sand, and it's like 2 weeks later when you get home and you're still pulling sand out of different parts of your body you didn't know existed. Yeah, look at this crap. Whoopsie. Yeah, that was the entire 14 grains. Let's try that again. What I am thankful for is that I didn't have my tray over here with all the cases facing up with powder and then that just randomly dumped in different amounts to each case. That would have sucked. So this one case setback is not as bad as all the other 10. So dang it. Be careful, dummy. Take that as learning experience. Whoa. Okay. So maybe this case is a little shorter and it didn't get quite flared enough because this one's having some trouble squaring up and I just freaking squeezed it and shot it out between my fingers. So let's try this. We're gonna just be very gentle here. I'm not gonna be able to pressure fit it how I would like, but we'll just get it started and go for it. Yeah, okay, that was sweet. Anyways, whoopsie, I'll have to get out the little air can of duster. And I kind of bumped that, so I'm gonna restart. Man, what a dummy. All right, let's do this. We have 2 more. Well, we have 1 more after this one. But I still have to officially seat it without spilling powder everywhere. Very nice. So what was I even saying? Those NOE expanders, they sound mighty fine. They sound mighty fine. You get them sized to the bullet you're seating, both in diameter and in depth. So go for that if you're into that kind of stuff. All right, this one seems kind of the same. We gotta just be careful with it. Let's get them started. Yeah, that looks good. That looks nice and square. Okay, perfect. We've got our 20. We got our 20 cases all seated there. Now we're going to crimp them with the Lee factory crimp die that's covered in Ramshot Enforcer. So once again, we gotta just break this off, pull him out. We'll go back in the die box, close that up so I don't knock it across the room and spill everything. Lee factory crimp die. Even if you don't like Lee, the factory crimp dies are pretty awesome regardless of what cartridge you're picking. And they're easy to set up. For this one, it says to touch your shell holder and then you adjust up top. So we're set up here. I'll just back out this way so I don't have too much crimp to begin with. And I didn't feel anything. Whoa. But also, let's get this lock ring before I forget. Okay, now we're snug there. Yeah, there was absolutely no crimping there. All right, now I'm feeling it. All right, that was just the lightest little touch. Let's hit it again. And the thing is, not only are we closing up the flare on the case mouth there where we expanded it, but we want sufficient crimp to give us a more consistent ignition to let all this powder burn and then finally reach peak pressure before it pops out the barrel. So since we're not head spacing off the case mouth, you can roll crimp that in very nicely. I'm going to leave that setting there and we'll try another one and see how that looks. But yeah, since we're head spacing off the rim, you can crimp the hell out of the case mouth if you need to. But here I think that'll be okay. That might be sufficient right there. Try a few more, maybe come down a hair to see what this one looks like. Okay. We are getting a little bit of shavings coming off. I like that setting. So I'm gonna run these first two again, and then we'll just go into full production mode here after we do a plunking test. So the plunk test, you can do your revolvers by using your cylinder. So we'll drop them in. Here he goes. And I think these projectiles are really fat and my cylinders are really dirty. So up there where the ring is, it makes it a little tough, but there we go. Yeah, that was a cleaner one. Comes right out. So not the smoothest of plunk tests, but they're definitely not jammed in. And I blame that on my huge ass projectile that's not even meant for 45 Colt. So to me, that is sufficiently passing our plunking test, but that was a really bad example. If you've never seen it before, go look it up on another video. But that at least lets me know I can get it into the gun. And when I get to the range, we can shoot them and they'll fall out. Get your ejection rod, pop. Pew. But I think that's more of our huge projectile than it is anything else. Anyways, enough rambling. We got our powder done. We just got to finish crimping these. Let's do it. And last one. Yeah, it feels really nice. And that one actually comes right in and right out. Very beautiful. Last thing, we just have to label it. So I already have 14 here, but I need to write that in the red. So let me do that. And then, here we go. 13.5. And, and 14.0, and that's with the round circle with the pink crap on it. See? And then we can put that into our ammo box. So we'll stick our label on here. That's a really bad label too, just because I already wrote that and I was being lazy, but 13.5 plus 14 with the O, and I'll be able to see that right here, right above the specified ammunition. And then if I do any other bullets or anything, I'm going to have to find a different color, a different coating, something else to use, which isn't hard. those 10 rounds are done. Look at that beauty. And there you have it. That's our 418 grain cast flat nose with Ramshot Enforcer. Remington brass 45 Colt here, folks. That'll do it for now. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one.